I am experiencing the ouster of Harvard President Claudine Gay as deeply painful and personal. Just as I experienced the ignorant attacks on Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson as insulting, just as I experienced the ongoing attacks on Vice President Kamala Harris as denigrating, and just as I experienced the shabby treatment of journalist and professor Nicole Hannah-Jones at the University of North Carolina as offensive.
It was shameful that brilliant sister, Dr. Claudine Gay, had to resign her post of being president of Harvard University after only 6 months in office.
What does the Lord have to say in 2024 when we see a qualified, brilliant black woman, Dr. Claudine Gay, who is railroaded and compelled to resign from the presidency by the cowardly board?
From the moment she was selected to lead this institution, the critics and the enemies and really people of all types were looking for her flaws.
Women at the top of their game and the top of their fields are treated as if they are not the superstars that they are.
This is a movement to attack anyone black who is a free thinker. This has nothing to do with plagiarism.
Plagiarism, which has not been proven in any way, shape, or form. We know she was ousted because of Zionism. Let's just keep it a buck.
What Dr. Gay was guilty of was improper citation, not in taking credit for someone's work, but for getting a comma or a quotation mark or nuancing the word in the paraphrase in a way that was acceptable, hallelujah, to those that were critiquing.
And the board of Harvard had said, well, it meets our rules. She had said what she needed to say. She should have added some quotation marks, but that's not enough to fire her.
Any person of color leading at any high level is operating at a power deficit societally. Her plagiarism in the context of being called the N-word, in the context of a world that is looking for confirmation bias from a black woman that in the eyes of the majority of many people shouldn't even be there. That adds another level.
You can try to say it's any other thing, but this is a continued onslaught against diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Neither plagiarism nor Dr. Gay's congressional testimony are the real issue. There is an attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion that is going on in this country.
It has everything to do with being a black, brilliant, bold, unafraid woman.
This is something that's making a lot of us feel very vulnerable in the shortest presidency of any Harvard president, 6 months, first black woman.
In the same year that the Supreme Court took out affirmative action, they are now trying to use the case of Harvard's president to take out DEI. You are now trying to shut down and reinstitute exclusion of blacks at the highest level of academia, of black contracts, of blacks on major boards.
This is a political agenda to make everyone black people in general, black women in particular, who are in positions of leadership, only be seen as diversity hires.
For conservative activists, her fall was a pivotal victory against diversity, equity, and inclusion. Kind of scary, isn't it?
Dr. Gay said she became the ideal canvas for projecting every anxiety about the generational and demographic changes unfolding on American campuses.
She was qualified, but they're now trying to stigmatize all blacks. To attack a woman with those credentials is an attack on all of us.
The death threats that she receives, the kind of demonization that's happening for her, and it's not just against her. I feel that. I think other people with the perception of power in places and positions where others are thinking they don't belong, we feel this sense of, if she was demonized in that way, if I make any mistake, I too will be demonized.
Harvard will always protect white supremacy.
These folks will use all the money in the world to undermine, humiliate, black people in positions, for they have no desire for us to lead any of their institutions.
And oh, by the way, the fact that Harvard hired their next president as a Jewish professor, that's also making a statement.